This is Abe Friedtanzer from Awards Buzz. So excited to be speaking with Helen Mirren about 1923 and MobLand. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you, Abe.
Well, how does it feel for you to be having conversations about these two shows, sort of in the same breath? Do they feel like really different things?
Super cool. Very, very cool. I mean, sometimes, in my profession, um you can have moments in your life when everything goes wrong and conflicts and are not great. You think you have great hopes for your project, and it either doesn't happen or it's not as great as you thought it would be. In the case of these two, I had a bit of a, career car crash because the scheduling was really, really difficult. And it looked like I wasn't going to be able to do one of them. And then my agent brilliantly made all his phone calls and pulled people's, strings and made it all happen. So I could do both, which was fantastic because, they're both great characters, both in great, very contradictory, very different pieces, very different writing, different stories. So I was very excited about the fact that I could do both, although it was pretty exhausting. I had to go sort of directly from one to the other. And luckily, on the first day in Mobland, Guy Ritchie said, "Oh, I think we should make them Irish," because they got a good Irish name, Harrigan. But both Piers and I thought we were going to be doing Irish people who'd been living in London their whole lives. But instead, Guy said, "No, let's do it Irish." So we all had to immediately jump into our Irish accents, which luckily I had been doing on 1923. So I was cool with that anyway.
Well, aside from that, that shared piece, do you feel like these characters have a lot of similarities? Obviously, different eras and
Oh my
different
God,
content.
no, no, no. They are so different. So different. I mean, Cara is decent, loyal, courageous. Um, she's got a good moral compass. She's kind, although she's tough. Maeve is the exact opposite of all of that. She's not kind. She's got no moral compass. She's not loyal. She's cruel and mean. The one thing she is incredibly driven and ambitious. Our sort of always our she is Lady Macbeth basically. Only I think Lady Macbeth has more moral compass in the end than Maeve does, because at least Lady Macbeth has the decency to go mad and feel what's the word, have um, regretful feelings, out damn spot. Shouldn't quote the Scottish play. But Maeve has none of that. No, Maeve is just bad to the bone.
Well, I would just argue that they're both very protective of their families. That said, if somebody wrongs them, maybe that's what I
Yes,
see
there,
as
there
the
is
through line.
that. There is that, absolutely. Yeah, and they'll fight to the death. But Maeve, I don't know how many episodes you've seen of Mobland, but wait and see. But
Well,
I have to say, I mean, I loved playing both characters. Absolutely loved playing both characters, and for me, they're very, very different. So, it was just such a joy to jump into Maeve after Cara. Um, and great writing in both cases. In Mobland, very visceral writing. We were quite, it wasn't improvisational in the sense we didn't improvise scenes, but you had the freedom to throw lines in and improvise. And it was, whereas Taylor's work is very musical. It's very beautifully constructed, and you hardly want to put a word out of place. It's his sentences sometimes are sort of strangely constructed, but they're sometimes they almost tip into sort of poetry without being pretentious, but they do. So you want to be very specific about Taylor's writing. With the writing on MobLand, you know, it was a freer thing altogether. You could riff and sort of improvise a bit. Yeah.
Were you familiar with 1923 with the Yellowstone universe, and do you think that's important
Not
to really get
really.
the
No, no,
context?
I wasn't. I wasn't really familiar with Yellowstone. I just saw it as a piece on its own. To me, it was just a piece of, you know, an amazing piece of history, an amazing piece of writing, an amazing, you know, really. I mean, I think the whole from what was it, 1893, 1923. Now I understand Taylor's going to do 1944. I think it'll be a fantastic look at American history, you know, for the future generations. I think it'll be an amazing overarching piece of work, the whole thing.
And you're not the only one on two major TV series right now. Harrison Ford is also, on Shrinking, and then in
I
this
know
very,
how wonderful he is on Shrinking. Absolutely. Yes.
which character would you say is closer for him to the real Harrison Ford?
Harrison is an absolute mixture of those two characters. He's totally a mixture. He has all the courage, the balls, the leadership qualities of the character in 1923. And then because, you know, being such a huge movie star for such a long time, you know, you have to protect your humanity, you have to create a sort of carapace, a protective carapace. You don't survive otherwise, you know. But that's my feeling, is that he's a perfect meld of those two characters in reality.
What can you say about working with Pierce?
I gush a little bit when I talk about both of these guys because they are both fucking great, you know, fucking great. Oh my God, is this on video? This is on
That's
YouTube.
okay. No, we like it. It's good. It's interesting. Thank you.
Um, Piers is elegant, kind, funny, hardworking, enjoys his job, loves it, never complains, always prepared. Just absolutely wonderful. I'd be perfectly happy to spend the rest of my life working with Piers, quite honestly. And one of the reasons I agreed to MobLand was because one of the reasons I agreed to 1923 was because I was told Harrison was signed up. He said he agreed to it because I was signed up. But uh, you know, certainly one of the reasons I signed on to MobLand because I knew that Piers was doing it. We were both asked at the same time, and we were working together. It's the first time I'd actually worked with him and discovered what a joy it is to work with him. And we both got the script sort of at the same time. Hey, I've been asked to do this thing. What about you? Yeah, I've been asked as well. So we could talk about it together. And so I knew he was going to be in it, which was great.
It sounds like MobLand is doing very well. There's an expectation that there'll be a second season. Do you think this is a role that you'd like to return for?
Oh, I'd love to return to it. Are you kidding me? Absolutely. I'll be very upset if I don't, you know, be finished off as Maeve probably. But no, I'd love to return to it. I don't feel I quite, you know, I feel I've only just started with that character. Yeah.
Well, you've obviously been working in film for a number of years and also in TV, and I'm curious how you feel that TV has changed now that, both of these shows are streaming shows and it's a sort of different target
Well,
audience in some
you
ways.
say TV has changed. It's not TV that's changed, it's film that's changed. And as we all are aware, the whole concept of entertainment through film, or I don't really like the word entertainment because, of course, it's a legitimate and a valuable and important part of what we do in drama. But it's so much more than entertainment. But for want of a better word, the process of storytelling, let's say storytelling, um, that ancient human desire to listen to stories about ourselves. Very weird when you think about it. Um, but that process is in a state of massive change at the moment. And what technically you can do on film, and I'm always, I mean, when I would walk, I've never been on such, in any of the movies I've ever done, including, I haven't done big movies, but fairly big. I've never been on as big a set as 1923, because we had multiple cameras, so you'd have 4 or 5 camera crews at one time, horses, cattle, sets, extraordinary. And this is television. You look at Game of Thrones and what was achieved on Game of Thrones. It's mind blowing, really. Um, so the whole, and film, although obviously we have the big tentpole movies, but then film in a funny way has taken the role of what television used to do, which was to tell the small intimate stories, the sort of small independent movies. I don't know. It's a very interesting time of an absolute sea change. And obviously with AI and the technology, every time I go on a film set or a TV set, it's the same thing. It's a camera, you know. Um, Something technically has changed. It's fascinating. It's a fascinating process to be a part of.
Absolutely. And what are you watching on TV these days?
Oh gosh, I watch absolutely everything. I watch a lot of stuff. I watch the whole of Severance. I watch the whole of White Lotus. Um, I watch a lot of sort of documentaries about cults for some reason. Find those fascinating as to how insane the human brain can be. The mad roads it can go down. And adolescence, obviously, which is an extraordinary piece of work. Again, talking about technicality and film and television and where the two are just coming together. Um, what else have I watch a lot of, I like a lot of foreign material. It's an Italian. I watched The Leopard, um, the Italian series of The Leopard. That was wonderful, really beautiful. So yeah, a lot of stuff.
Well, I so appreciate your passion for what you do, and it was a real pleasure to meet you.
You too. Okay, Abe. Take care.